everybody who's signed up to see what we're going to do this evening. Thanks for Isaac for coming in from next door to film it for me, and to Paul for arranging all the technical side of it. What I'm planning to do first in this small area, which I refer to fondly as the factory, where it's all made, and then we'll move into my other studio. This is in my house. We'll move into the other studio where I paint the pots that I make. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to throw a bottle, a jug, and a plate. And just to let you know, these are basically all the tools I use. So let's get going. So you don't need a lot of tools. I mean, that tool there, that knife, Colin made that for me, and I've had it ever since. I've had it probably 40 odd years. And that's just a piece of credit card, and then obviously a wire. So let's switch on. I'm using a bit more clay than I normally do, just so you can see it. But these little bottles are, well, they're all done in one, really. It's a bit like throwing a spout in a way. You'll see as we proceed. Can you all see this?
Yeah, it's really easy.
Okay, that's good.
John, what clay are you using?
This is white earthenware. It's known as SWE. It's a lovely clay. I've been using it now for a number of years. I can't say how many because I can't remember, but originally my friend Richard Godfrey, before he died, sadly, he would order, you know, a couple of tons at a time, and whenever I wanted any clay, I'd go over and get 4 or 5 bags and just put them in the back of the car and bring them home. And it was a good reason for me to go and visit Richard and catch up with him. Yeah, he was a really lovely person, and I miss him sadly. But one of the things about this clay that he used to its extreme was the fact that he was a brilliant hand builder. And this clay is so forgiving, he could do anything with it. I think when we go in the other room later on, I'll show you one of Richard's teapots, and you can see, perhaps some of you are familiar with Richard, but right, I'm just going to take those lines off first, up to about there. Right, I'm just going to close the top in. I did think earlier that when I make the big bottles, much bigger than these, using a couple of pounds of clay, what I do, I get the pot made up to this point, and normally I would pin that off so you just get the top with a hole in the bottom like that. It's almost impossible to throw the neck up. So then when they're leather hard, the next thing I do is I just put like a small golf ball on top, push the end of a paintbrush through, and then I throw the neck up on top. And I'll show you one of those when we go in the other room in a minute. So now, What's that noise?
Bod says your wheel is very quiet.
Well, something's clicking.
Yeah, I can hear the clicking.
Yeah, that's not bad for the top. Now, one thing that that Colin pointed out to me way back was with a lot of pots, it's interesting, not necessarily the way, but it's interesting to show where changes of direction occur. So, for example, so far, there's a change of direction there and a change of direction there. And I just want to emphasize that by just putting just a little mark in there. And then here, I can make a mark there. And then this is my favorite tool, as you know. I can just come down now. And there's no turning involved at all. I mean, for me, I think the only thing I ever turn is the foot on a T-bowl, one that's a thrown T-bowl rather than a hand-built one. Well, that will probably do for this one. Now, the other thing I do, which if you've seen any of my pots, you'll notice that on the base there, I always put this little, I don't know what you'd call it. Well, it's actually in pottery terms, it's known as the skirt, which is the bottom of the pot, you know, bottom half. So that's the bottom. I'm just looking at something to wipe my hands. So they're nice little things to make, and also I use them a lot for showing small flowers. Okay, I think I can reach from here. And the other thing is when you take a pot off, you know, I've seen it so many times, people go like this and they slop loads of water on and push it off to the edge onto a paint stripper or whatever. And really, all you've got to cut it. All you got to do is cut through, make sure your hands are dry, and then just lift it off and put it down. So it's not that difficult.
The change of direction detailing is really neat, John.
Yeah, well, I mean,
emphasizes the form.
Yeah, I think a lot of pots that people make lack that definition of change of direction. You know, it just does bring something. It's like when you wear clothing, I suppose. You know, you start at the top. I mean, if you're an office worker, you know, you put a nice tie on and you've got a nice shirt, and you might wear a waistcoat, and you know, you have a nice jacket, some nice trousers, and then you go down, you have a nice pair of shoes. So they're all changes of direction, just in fashion, in our clothing. And I think, you know, I've only just thought about this, but I think in other mediums, not so much in painting, but in practical things, you know, like making things, you can use that way of emphasizing. Now, I'm making a jug now. I have got a jug here I made earlier. So I want to show you my way of putting handles on that are really, really easy. If you're having difficulty pulling handles.
Julia, not Bod, is saying, I presume you can't lift bowls off like that.
Oh, no. Well, no, you'd have to put your fingers underneath.
Yeah.
Well, you could. I don't really make bowls, to be honest, but I don't know whether it's for that reason or not. But no, if you make a bowl, you cut it. Depends how big it is. If it's a big bowl, well, then take it off from the back. But if it's a small bowl, you should be able to lift it off. Should be able to lift it off. There's an air bubble there, but I might be able to pop it. I can never throw it right down to the wheel head. For some reason, I'm always a bit nervous about going down too deep. But once I've opened it up and I'm doing this, then I know, you know, how thick the base is. But it came up all right, didn't it?
John, do you enjoy having the small space that you're working in where you can reach things easily?
Yeah. Well, when we go in the other room, I have got a book that I wrote years ago. And I've got a picture of my old studio, my old workshop it was more. And it's massive. I mean, it's massive compared to this. No, I like this small space because this room that I'm in now is what I call the messy room. You know, I do all the throwing, I do all the glazing, all the putting on of the background slip, and then once they're assembled and the background slip's gone on, then I take them into the other room, and then I can sit in like a clean environment and start to paint.
I know you listen to music when you're painting. Do you do that the same when you're
I actually don't miss it now because I know that I'm engaging with everybody who's watching. But normally, I'm always listening to music. Let me get that a bit higher first. Yeah, it depends really. I mean, I'm not really someone who listens to pop music or stuff like that. I mean, it's mostly modern jazz. Modern jazz, Indian music I really like. When I lived in London in the 60s, I used to go to the festival hall to listen to Ravi Shankar and people like that. Now on this one, I could emphasize it there, but I don't think I want to. I think what I want to do is I just want to make that a bit narrower. It's just a bit ducky. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so that's basically sort of the making. But the reason I chose a jug, well, I might emphasize that a little bit. Because I wanted to show you how I do this, which I don't do, and which a lot of potters do, but some might do it not the way I do it. I don't know. And by using this knife to cut the clay off, it does save a lot of turning, and you'd be surprised how much clay you can cut off to make it a nice nice weight, for example. Sometimes they're a bit heavy, but you know.
Sam says he's enjoying the blues at the moment, and Sam Murray.
Sam said what?
He's enjoying the blues at the moment, so I assume he's listening to blues.
Oh, listen to the blues. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we discovered blues the other day. Sorry, Sam. Okay, so yeah, the blues. There was no singing though.
And Juliet says it's interesting you use a spray instead of wetting your hands, and makes sense.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Juliet, that because I work so slowly, I mean, I throw fairly quickly, but because my whole process is quite slow. I mean, when I paint, it's very slow. You know, I'm not going to sit here all day and make 20 or 30 of these jugs, because I know it would take me 2 or 3 weeks to paint them, and by the time I finish the first and beginner set, I'll be bored and I need something else. So I've got what the question was now.
Spray.
Spray. Oh yeah. So yeah. So instead of, you know, again making loads of mess, I just find that the spray just puts on enough water to lubricate the pot. You know, I mean, Colin invented some stuff that he used to throw with that. Yeah, it didn't hardly ever use water, and he never had a wheel box either. So that was also another reason why he was very economical. But I like the spray; it's just fantastic. Now, just excuse me 1 sec. I'm looking for that sponge. There it is. So this is interesting. I mean, there's a couple of things that I've found I like doing, and this is one of them. So you can either use a bit of bead, whatever this is, I don't know what you call it, someone will know, or you can use a plastic. I'll use both. So if you wet it first so it doesn't stick, then you put your fingers in and you just do that, and you've got a lovely little lip. Now, if you wanted it bigger, I could make it bigger by using this one. Now it's bigger, and it's a bit like that, you know. So I can just bring it round like that, and that, you know, is how I do a lip. Because I don't make a lot of big stuff. I mean, I have made some big jugs, but you know, that one will do it. But if you were like Doug Fitch making, you know, massive jugs, and you wanted to do a lip like that, well, you'd use one of these. You know, you'd do the same thing. I mean, it's no better than actually using your finger and messing around with it. But to me, it's just quicker. Okay, so get that one off. How are we doing? Right so far. Okay, so this is the last throwing. It won't take long, believe it or not.
What are you making now?
Plate. This is an average sort of dinner plate, and the other reason why I decided to make a plate is because I'm going to paint one, and I've got one ready. And also, I just want to show you a couple of ways to, you know, I do rims, that's all. Oh, I did want to say something. Yeah, I've just remembered. Just going back to those two again. The reason I put these features on the bottom of the skirt is because when I dip them, they give me something to hold on to when I dip them into the slip or even into the glaze. So it's just another thing that I found helps me do that. Okay.
What weight of clay are you using here?
Well, when I was using red clay, as you can see, I used to use £3, but this is 2.5. So I think this clay, I don't know why it doesn't require so much clay or not. But these bats, I've had these for years, and I had a friend years ago, got one somewhere, but he worked for Toshiba. And these bats were the holes that they cut out for making speakers. So, and they're nice because they've got, it's not like throwing on a wheel head, which is cold and metallic. I mean, I've got wooden bats somewhere, like this one, but Colin, another thing that Colin always used, I'm not sure whether Richard, I think Richard did as well. Richard had bats made of formica, and I've got some formica ones somewhere, but they're bigger ones. Okay, so this is the plate. Some people like to show a plate. I mean, you know, if you're not a painter or just making pots, you know, I mean, some people like to leave a kind of a record in the middle of, you know, where they've been, something like that, you know. I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. I try and keep it, you know, as flat as possible. That's just a rib, you know, for flattening the base out. It's quite nice. Another one I kind of got from Colin. Right, my hands are getting cold. Okay, so.
There's a question from Richard. Are you using clay straight from the bag?
Oh, wedge it first. I don't just take it out of the bag and, you know, weigh it up. No, I have to wedge it first.
I think you might mean, are you putting any additions? But
no additions. No. In fact, behind me, I've just had 20 bags delivered, and it's very soft. So that's one sort of rim, okay, you can use. And I think if I'm careful, I can throw this up now.
Juliet says, are you using the bat to raise the wheel head, or is it just that you're using?
Well, no, it does. It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've got a bat on the wheel head. Yeah, rather than the wheel head.
Yeah, but she's asking, are you doing that deliberately to raise the wheel head?
Well, no. I mean, it's always. Hang on, let me do this first.
Okay.
Right. Well, it does lift it, but I mean that's the level I've always worked at. This level. So whatever bat I put on will always be this level. I think that answers. Happy, Juliet? The other thing with a plate you should always watch out is if you lay the rim down too far, when you cut through it, it can flop down. And also, as they dry off, the rims do come up. So it's a tricky decision as to how far down you.
Juliet's happy with your answer, smiley face.
Hey?
Juliet's happy with your answer.
Yeah, okay. Right, so I think we're done there. Cut through it. Oops. Good. Okay. I want to take this one off because, oops, excuse me. I need that surface. This is the back lifter. Okay. Rule 3 in any pottery is don't pick up what you can't put down. And after, oh no, I haven't. I thought I'd broken it, but that's a good rule. Okay. So that's the throwing. Okay, those can come over there. That one can come over there too. Got a visitor. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Oh, this is hot. Oh, lovely. How are we doing? I've got a lot of time for this. What I'll do is first of all, I'll make a slab. I've got everything ready. So the 2 slab pots I was planning to make, well, I suppose I have got time, I'll just try.
Does Peter says, do you have running water or just use buckets of water?
No, the thing is, Peter, normally there's a system there where I can take the bucket and it stays there. And I put a bat on top so it stays nice and hot. And so, you know, when I need to wash my hands, I just take the bat off and it's lovely and warm. But I've got a sink in that room, but I don't want to keep going backwards and forwards. So a good tip is, you know, always have a bucket of warm water nearby just to wash your hands. Okay. So, I don't know if how you can see this, Isaac.
That's good, Isaac.
Okay, so look, I rolled out these slabs earlier on. If I've got time, I'll show you how I do that. But I want to make one of these first. So I'm going to just go down there. Now, when I did these in the week, I made the mistake of not cutting them the same side. Richard had a tool. He was a great tool maker as well. He had a tool that would cut them so that they were perfect at the same angle. But as you'll see, I'm a little bit sort of loose when I come to do this sort of thing. So that's one. Where's the other one? This one.
So that's a bit of hacksaw blade.
Yeah, that's just hacksaw blade. I mean, use whatever you want. It's just to score it for when I join them.
A question from Richard: is SWE your clay Spencroft's White earthenware?
Yeah, that's it, Richard. Well done, mate. Got me out of the hole.
Heidi says, how thick is the slab?
That thick. I don't know. I'm going to show you these in a minute if I've got time, so you'll see.
Probably about a centimetre, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you, I'm old school. I mean, for me, it's inches, and new people, you know, they're all metric, but no. Okay. Banding wheel, where it is. Okay. So, oh, this isn't going to take too long. It's funny when you've got everything ready, isn't it? You know, it's much quicker. Right, so what I'm just going to do is just going to bend these a little bit. That can stay there. And that one can come there. In fact, I'll put that back there with my slip. This is just the slip. Most people call it glue, but I call it slip.
Okay, there's Juliet says my video isn't clear, so could you maybe tell us about your tools as you're using them? At the moment you're using a...
This one?
Yeah.
No. This one?
Yes, as you use.
It's just a brush, Juliet, just to put the slip on with. That was something I found that people did plaster with.
Oh yeah, they do the decorative.
Yeah.
Well.
So it just makes that one just makes a serrated edge, and that's your old potter's knife, and that's your bit of hacksaw blade. You'll see in a minute. Okay. So then we just butt them up like that.
Can you ask, did he go to the demo Richard did at Plymouth Uni? Anyone who went will remember he used the same gent's head as a template.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wondering? I'm wondering, was it you?
When you mean when Richard made a bowl on my head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was in the audience and I didn't know, and he said, "John, can you come out?" And he put like a towel around me, and I sat down, and he'd got a slab of clay, and he stuck it on my head, and then he carved round and made a bowl. Yeah. Oh, was you there, Richard?
No, that's Cressida. That's Cressida to everyone. And Karen says, yes, it was a great day. And then Cressida said it was brilliant.
Yeah, Richard. Richard was, I mean, you know, I mean, he did all the shows, he did Oxford, he did them all. I mean, to be honest, I haven't got the patience for it. I can't be answering the same question every 2 minutes. Right, so then we just plonk that on there like that. These are all the same thickness, Heidi. We're cutting it across there. Oh, that's a bit tight. Bring that back a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this, as you can see, just a little bit away from the edge, and you might see why in a minute. And also, I'm cutting through at slight angle, just helps me to stick it on afterwards. And also I have to hold the base, otherwise it's going to slide about all over the place. Okay.
Another question from Karen. Did Richard do that at ICF too?
I don't know. I mean, I never went to ICF, so wherever it is, but he may have, I don't know. But he was, I mean, he was just a genius, you know. I mean, God, when he was ill, blimey. I'll tell you a funny story. I mean, poor old Richard, he had the roof of his mouth removed because he had cancer. And he was in hospital. He'd had this operation, serious operation. And I gave it a couple of days and went up to see him. And he'd got a drip on or something. And he'd got something over his mouth, like an oxygen mask or something like that. He couldn't speak. Anyway, I walked in and he had this notepad and a bit of paper. And he wrote on it and he handed it over to me. And I said, it said, nice to see you, Johnny. Thanks for coming. So I went, can you lip read? And he wrote on here, I'm not deaf. And bless him, it was hard for him to laugh, I tell you. Really hard. That was weird because I couldn't hear anybody laughing. Most people laugh at that. But he did get better. And well, he didn't get better, but I mean, he recovered from the surgery. I mean, he was in a bad way. But sorry, I should show you that. Not a bad one. And funny enough, well, not funny enough, but he made the best pots once he was ill than he'd ever made. Okay, so that's a slab pot. And I've got one of these. I've got one of it.
From Peter, does this clay have any grog in it for the slab building?
No, no, none at all.
It's very forgiving, isn't it?
Oh, it's lovely clay. If you get it right. Okay, I've got time to do this. This is going to be a tea bowl, all right?
Okay.
So I've rolled these out. I mean, I don't know if I've got time, but what I do, I've got these different thicknesses. I mean, you probably know if you're a potter, you know, if you want a thickness, you can have 2 bits of wood with grooves in and come down like that. That's quite nice. But I have these various thicknesses, and I can then make pots whatever thickness I want. And I found now that one is, generally speaking, about the same thickness as the ones that I would throw. I also have these, which are much thinner pieces of card, and I can adjust the thickness with those. So I don't know where they go there. But that's how I do it. Okay, get them out of the way. Now, what I've done, I've cut this. I better show you, so you all know. Where is it? Is it here somewhere? Oh, here it is. I had it already. So on this one, I've marked out on here T-bowl width that I've got to cut it to and T-bowl height. So what I do when I roll them out, I just measure out on here. And then the way I get them the same height is I just put that on and I push it down like that. And I push it down like that, which is that height. And then I just cut it off. And so you get a nice shape. Okay. So now I'm just going to do the same thing. And to make sure they join, this is interesting. You turn them upside down like that. It's just become obvious to me, funny enough, but okay. So back up here. That's better. I'm trying to rush it, and I shouldn't. The interesting thing that I sometimes say to people that I'm talking to, or if I'm doing a seminar or anything like that. Don Wright's told me this. He's an American. He's dead now, but I was in New Zealand with him in 1981, and he held up a lump of clay and he said to the audience, "You see this?" He said, "It's got a couple of mountains in it." He said, "Maybe a few forests, some dinosaurs, some rivers, maybe a few civilizations." He said, "And it's been in the ground for millions of years." He said, "So why rush it?" And I thought that was a really interesting understanding of the nature of clay. You know, I mean, even this lump of clay I've got here, mountains dissolve and the ingredients in the mountain all run down into a river. Forests decompose and run down into a river. Civilizations, wild animals, they all decompose and end up on riverbeds. And then after another million years, they become clay. And then they end up here on a banding wheel. Okay. So again, just join that on. Now, for those of you that struggle with throwing, this is a nice way to make so you could make a mug like that. Okay, so that's a mug. Now, in actual fact, I've got one, but I'm not going to do that one because I think it's a bit soft, but I've got one here. As they say on Blue Peter, this is one I did earlier. And what I do now is I give it a bit of a whack. I like whacking pots, so I can whack that down. The reason this is different to the one I've just done is that I've let this one dry off a bit. Okay. And it has slightly deformed it. I mean, I can, you know, I like a bit of deformation, if you want to call it that. I can deform it a bit, okay? Now, if I want to put a foot on that.
Rona's saying, do you ever scratch the base when joining?
I just did.
Yeah.
Oh, the base.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I did, actually.
Yeah, you did.
Normally I do, yeah. Normally I do, but I didn't that time, did I?
You used a bit of, didn't you use a bit of...
I use this. What I normally do when I've cut round, I usually score it a little bit. But I found the other day, because I was rushing, that I didn't score both sides.
All right. Yes, you only did the cylinder, not the base.
Well, yeah, but I normally do the base.
Yeah.
There is a way to do this so they join easier, but I'm just going to do it like this for a minute. Nice. A bit of luck, wasn't it? Okay. And just to keep you happy, I'll put a bit of slip on there, look. And I might put a bit of slip round there, look. And I'll pop that on there, put that in there. And here, I just push it down, just so as I know it's on. Okay. And then I'll tap it down. Oh no, wait a minute, where is it? Well, I'll have to do it on here, but I hope it doesn't stick. What I do is I just tap it down gently like that. And then you can see it's flat, but then I just, I do it by hand, that's better. Tap it down like that. Nice.
Lovely, lovely.
Hey? Not bad, eh? And then they look like this when they're finished.
Great.
Well, that one does. I've overrun, but I did want to put a handle on. I can just show you. It won't take a second. Yeah, I'll just whack a handle on a bit quick. We've got, I mean, in the other room, it won't be as long as this, but as this is the first one, I thought it might be interesting to have a mix of throwing for the throwers, and then
hand building.
Yeah, this is going to be a handle. Or as we say in London, an handle.
Is that cardboard you're using there?
Yeah, it's the inside of a roll of bubble pack.
Lovely.
But you can use a rolling pin if you want. But I like this because it's nice and light. And there is a kind of a technique for doing it. So you let the tube roll in both hands. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. Normally, oh well, not normally, let's do it. Normally, this is normal. That'll do. Okay. This is what I did earlier.
Do you mind saying if you recommend I think it's wristbands?
Oh, no, I'll tell you why I wear these is I wear a watch and I've got that. and I don't like taking them off. And then on this hand, that never comes off. And so it just keeps them out of the way. But
I think
I've just got so used to wearing them now. When we go in the other room, I'll change to my other ones.
Lovely. Is that asbestos that you're rolling the clay on?
No, it's a piece of canvas.
Oh, right, canvas.
But this is asbestos, which I don't recommend anybody using. Okay, don't use it. I've had them since we used it when we were at Harrow. We used it all the time. Yeah,
we used it at Shinners Bridge.
Yeah. Okay, so just for the benefit of all you potters that like to see it scored, I do score these, so maybe a little bit there.
Richard used to use masterboard, which is similar but not harmful.
Well, the thing with this is, just let me put this on so as you see. So you saw how I did that. Okay, so now I'm just going to offer that up like that. Normally I have this a bit higher, actually. And then, wait a minute, that's not on straight. And then we can just, maybe it's a bit big, but I just want to show you how I do it, really. It's yeah, it's not bad at all. I'll use this one. So here, that's the base, and then I can do a thing there, which I can't find the piece of wood I use, but anyway, so that I'd make it thinner normally, but this is just how you do it. But one point about handles I should say before we finish is a handle should always have tension in it. Well, not always, but I was told. So if you imagine that as spring steel and you snip that off there, that handle should ping up like that. Okay, it should ping up. There should be tension. And sometimes I do maybe just adjust them a little bit like that, just so as I create that tension.
Great, lovely.
Okay, done in here.
Okay.
We will now go into the other room and we'll carry on with all the colours. So who's going first, me or you?
You go first.
I'll go first, okay. Let that off, okay. Right. Oh, I need that bucket of water. Where is it? Where is it? I just need that. That's all I need. Thank you. Don't slip on that. This is my kitchen. This is my hall. That's my window. This is my studio. Come in. Isaac's going to come in and he's going to pan round just to show you. So there's some jugs here. Those are the bigger bottles that I throw the neck on separately. And that's a bigger one. I throw the neck on separately on those. Some teapots, some plates. I'll get out of your way. This is a nice room to work in. Again, I can see out into the yard. My birds keep coming up all day. Excuse me. those big ones on the this is the kiln, by the way. Those big ones are slab pots that, you know, I made maybe about a week ago, and they're drying off. And the tea bowls are hand built. Sam made 2 and I made 1, so I don't suppose you can tell the difference, which is good. And then here, this is my collection of pots. So this is Chris Keenan, John Maltby, Eddie and Margaret Curtis. That's a Japanese potter. I can't remember her name now. Aki somebody. That's Colin up there. One of Colin's pots. I've forgotten his name now. I'll come back. Colin. Now that's Wally. Wally Keeler gave me that when I was at Harrow. That's a Colin teapot.
Wally teapot.
Oh, sorry, a Wally teapot. Thank you, Jenny. John Maltby, Colin, Sven Bayer, Ashraf Hanna, Jack Doherty.
Lovely.
Yeah, there are a few, and I'll show you my slipware in a minute.
Someone's just asked, Leela asked, is that picture of the man Shoji Hamada? It's on the other wall.
Yeah. That's me dressed up as a clown.
Is that the one you meant, Leela? Yeah.
No, it was the photograph on the wall.
Which photograph?
Oh, here, no, that's His Holiness.
Oh, it's the
His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
I do apologise.
And that's the Dalai Lama as a little boy. And that little boy there, that baby owl, came and stayed with him for a few weeks and then flew off.
Wow.
But no, I'm sorry, that's HH.
From Jane Bradford, do you use Mason stains for colours?
I'm going to talk about that now.
Okay. Anne Wilson says, "Wow, what a colourful sight!" And then, do you spray glaze?
No, I did. Different brush. Oh, that's interesting you said that. That is really interesting because I'd forgotten all about that. Let's try this one. Yeah, that last person asked about the glaze. Over the last few months, maybe so, what I've been doing is I've been glazing them and I've been wiping the glaze off with a brush or my hand. And then particularly where the black slip is underneath, because I do like that matte black area there. But here you can see little areas of where the glaze has gone on so thinly. And what this does is it reveals much more the process of painting. It shows the brush marks much more clearly. Yeah, one thing I wanted to show you before we go any further, let me turn this around now, Isaac. This was my workshop in the Barbican, and this was Graham who was working with me. Jenny knows him. And as you can see, at that period, I was making a lot of pots for the Holiday Inns for their buffets. And for 2 years I did it, and there's not a space anywhere to put an egg cut. I mean, Graham and I were at it, hammer and tongs, and I had somebody else as well, who sadly passed away. But right, I think
saying I'm trying to find the casserole dish from ages ago, from before you taught me at Medway to the new work. It's an amazing development.
Someone's trying to find a casserole dish.
Yeah,
I did make casseroles.
Layla.
Oh
yeah, Layla. Yeah, I made all sorts of domestic ware. When I first turned on to colour, yeah, I made casseroles, and well, on the Barbican in the slipware days, you know, I was very commercial. I had to be. and the Barbican area was very popular in the summer. So yeah, I mean, I made tankards with ale and beer and cider on them and stuff like that. Yeah, I did all sorts. And then what happened, I did traditional slipware. Well, let me show you before we go any further. So that's a harvest jug, typical harvest jug from that period. And that was made in 1983. It's underneath the handle. It's Latin. It says Pollex me ficit. That means Pollex made me.
Is that Beryl Cook in the foreground of that jug?
No. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, this is. Sorry. I mean, I was very friendly with Beryl Cook at the time. And I really had a fascination for pearly kings and queens. And I really did like making up their costumes. So this is a pearly king and queen harvest jug. It was actually on show in the V&A once for the Queen's Silver Jubilee. But round the neck, one never knows. That's the motto for the pearly kings and queens. And then I decided I'd have them doing a knees up. And then there'd be a wall going round with children on it. And then on a wall, I'd put, like when I was a kid, we used to write things on walls with chalk. And I just put people's names on that I knew. And that's my daughter there with a hat. We used to play cricket by chalking a wicket on a wall and stuff like that. That's my brother. Yeah, so that's that one. Oh, by the way, they were made in two parts, so I'd throw them up to here. I can't remember how much clay. And then when they were leather hard, I'd get a donut of clay, throw up the top, the rim, the neck and the lip. And then I'd pull the handle. These handles are pulled, so I'd have to hold them like that to pull the handle. And then I'd make the attachments and then cover them in white slip and then start to sgraffito through. And then this one reveals the story of the Little Prince. And this is one of my favorite pots. I've never got rid of it. And that one was made in 1980. And there are a couple of nice features about it. The Little Prince was told a secret. What is essential is invisible to the eye. So I put that under the handle, which, you know, is more secretive than being around the jug. And one of the other features of it, was the Little Prince befriended a snake. And in order to overcome your fear of snakes, I put it on the handle. So you had to pick it up to look at it. And I mean, loads of people know the story of the Little Prince. He lived on a planet above the Earth, and then he came to Earth. And I don't want to go into it too long, but that's my favourite. That's my favourite jug.
Anne Wilson says, wonderful family gifts.
Well, they would be, yeah, if you had a family. And then this is one of my big dishes, which I just got this back. I bought this on eBay. And then underneath, this is made in 1985, and it's number 411. So I've made 411 of these big dishes up to then. And those are my two seals. And then I think I've got one more. This one's even bigger.
Wow.
Yeah, these were quite big when they made them. Don't forget they've shrunk. But this I took a photograph of this and used it as my business card. And another thing that, you know, I used to do was give any faces a third eye, which was a kind of a look to spirituality, that sort of thing. That one was made in 1982.
Is it one like that you're holding in the Lenkovich painting of you?
Yeah, yeah, I've got, yeah, that was a lion. That's number 315. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, of course, they were a doddle to paint or to decorate because, like with this one, I mean, patterns are just so straightforward, you know. I mean, once you've got a pattern, it just makes itself really. Whereas what I do now here, that's a different ball game. So let me just talk about the colours first, because I know you're all interested in that, and then we'll try and just make some marks. And so, excuse me, these are all different coloured slips. So I've got basically two, that'll be yellow. I'll do those in a minute. Those are 2 greens, 2 blues, a white, a pink, and a lilac. And these come straight out of the pot. So when I mix them up, I use it's about 450 gram yogurt pot. And then the colours come in these. These are from Pottery Crafts. They're just simple body stains or underglaze colours. And I use 20 grams. I put a little bit of water in first, down the bottom. And then I add roughly about 20 grams of the body stain. And then I introduce white slip until it's the right thickness, okay? So those colours are just the base colours, and these are the base colours. Where's that brush? And then these are the colours straight out of the packets. So if I want to intensify the colours, I can then put the neat colour to the side, which then will give me a tone from that bright yellow to that much more subdued yellow. And if I use a nice strong red, I can go from a very strong red to a pink, the same with the lilac. So I can intensify them. Okay, I'll just put a bit of blue on, this is a blue, I've just discovered this blue. I don't know how I got hold of it, but if I mix that blue and that lilac, I get a really nice grey. So what I'm going to do is, to make myself more comfortable, I've got all the colours I want. So I'm just going to move that along. Normally it's there. One other thing you might know, or you might not know, is with slips, sometimes they're a bit thin and you need to thicken them up. I'm not sure if this is too thin. No, it's okay now. If you add a spot or 2 of vinegar, it will thicken it up very, very quickly. So if your slip is too thin, you can always thicken it up with a drop or 2 of vinegar. So are there any questions so far about what I've just spoken about?
Not so far.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll carry on. I'll crack on, as they say. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to intensify them. I don't normally do that until I've got the first markings made. You know, I plot it out first, but I don't want you to sit there and watch me scratching. Well, no, I haven't got any hair to scratch, but sitting here looking at a pot, you know, thinking, what shall I do next? I want to show you. I left the band in behind. No. So, well, let's start the plate because it's bigger and you can. Hopefully you can see. So what I've done, I work on black. All my pots are painted on top of a black slip. So when they're made, then when they go, I black slip them. And the reason for that is when I start to, let's say, for example, I always rinse the sponge out first before I pick up a colour. That's for obvious reasons. I normally have my band in mind there. So if I'm putting a colour on, let's just use this white and a bit of red just to start with. So I'll start putting a colour on. Now, if, for example, when I've gone all over, there are still areas like this where you can see the black coming through. That's okay to some extent. But I'm just looking to see if I can find one. I should have pulled one out. But sometimes you get the black showing through and it's okay. But if it was on the white slip, it would look insipid. It would just fade it away, you know, it wouldn't look nice. So that's one of the reasons I work on black. The other reason is because I do like to show when I'm working on a bottle, normally I'll have two sides. It's not a front or a back, it's just two sides, because I like to show the negative space in between. So that space in between there is obviously sort of slightly feminine shaped. That side isn't. So that's the reason why, one of the reasons why I put the black on.
John, can I just ask you, in your notes that you gave me,
yeah,
visited the Howard Hodgkin exhibition at Whitechapel, and
yeah.
Did you find that his paintings had a dark ground? That
Oh no. Good question. Not at all. No, the thing that inspired me in '85 when I went to see him, well, not see him, but see his show, was how, well, if you look at that one and that one, they're both posters of Hodgkin. That's an actual print, that one over there. It looked like it was done quickly. And in actual fact, he works on a lot of paintings at the same time. And some of them can take up to 4 years. You know, I mean, it's incredible to think that. So no, he doesn't. I don't know how he does his work. Nobody knows. What I want to do now is I just want to show those of you, because I don't expect any of you to be able to paint the way I do. It's all abstract. But if you're using slips, you can have fun and you can make patterns, for example. So you could get a triangular sponge and put colours on. You can use different, I've got some different, I thought I had different, yeah. Let's try that one. You can use different shapes of sponges. Oh, by the way, these sponges are really nice. These are really nice sponges. They pick up the slip and you can cut them nicely when they're dry. And the best way to cut them is with an electric bread knife. I found that really cuts them nicely. These ones are a little bit more synthetic. And then these ones are really commercial sponges. Now, you can see on this one in particular, I might be able to use it actually, that the holes are really open. And these are some tea bowls I did years ago when I started using colour. This is a hand-built tea bowl again. But again, here what I did, I wiped the glaze off. I wanted to try and create the look of a wood-fired pot. And so with this, I'm going to try with that. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah. So I'm going to come back on here, and maybe I'll try it on the rim. Lovely, beautiful. Oh, that is nice. Look at that.
Lovely.
Oh boy. Yeah, so that'd work all the way around. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way around. I don't want to bore you, but so that's a synthetic sponge. These are a much tight, what I call a tighter kind of.
What are they normally used for, John?
Pardon?
What are those sponges normally used for, the really tight ones?
Well, I don't know. They're just sponge. I mean, to be honest, I buy my sponge in Plymouth Market, and I just get some sponge and I cut it up. I mean, these sort of sponges aren't very good. These are sort of industrial sponges that you use for washing cars with, you know. But one other way you can work, I mean, I'm just showing you.
Oh, Peter Bowen says makeup sponges. I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to do, Peter, is to try it. You know, you've got to find a sponge, a type of sponge that, and you must squeeze the water out. And I find that you don't want to plump right down in the middle. You want to pick your sponge, pick your clay up for your slip up by just going in there. And then you can make, now, for example, on this, if I wanted to, I can come up there like that on that one, maybe come up like that on that one, and come up there on that one, okay, like that. And then if I want to increase a pattern on them, I mean, I'm just mucking about now, so just to show you what you could do.
Is the black slip a stain or an oxide? It's a stain, isn't it?
No, I make the black slip up out of red clay, manganese and iron oxide.
All right,
So,
yes,
right.
Yeah.
So here I'm just pattern making, and I mean, I know, funny enough, I know what colours will work. I know that blue, that and that will work, and I do know what I'm going to put there will also work. So just to show you, that's a bit runny. I didn't mean that to run, but there you go.
Richard says, back in 1981, working over a black ground with colours was a revelation to me. Creates a kind of X-ray 3D depth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. And the other thing is, you talk about Hodgkin. Did he paint on a black background? I've just suddenly remembered that Robert Lenkiewicz, who was a renowned local artist, died in 2000, he always painted on a black canvas. Yeah. So yes, I mean, he did. And I think he had a very good knowledge of colour.
A lot of painters work on a very dark red. It's not even a red, it's more of a rust.
Yeah, red clay. I mean, I use slips on red clay as opposed to black. You know, I don't think I'd put a black on. No, my big slipware dishes, the decoration went straight onto the pot. That's a bit weird.
Peter Bowen says that's a lovely effect, almost looks like it's been sprayed on. I think he was talking about your tea bowl that you've wiped the glaze from.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was what he was referring to. And
it's spot on, right?
Juliet says, what temperature do you fire to?
Oh, Yeah, good question. Biscuit 1050 and glaze 11.5. Let me just show. Pardon?
You have a soak at 11.5 or just?
No, just I mean it's a timer. It just I mean I switch it on. It comes on at 12 o'clock at night. I'm looking for the white. That's it. It's got green in it. I switch it on at 12 o'clock at night, and then it goes off about midday, about 12 o'clock. I'm not sure this is going to work.
And John, can I ask you, do you work on a piece a bit for so long, and then basically because you've got to watch paint dry, you then work on another piece, then go back? So you're
exactly. I mean, in the anxiety to get in here quickly, I left the banding wheel down there, and normally it's here. It's about this height, and if I'm doing T-bowls like this one, I'm probably working on 5 at the same time. Yeah. So I put this lot on one, like Sam did on those. He made one mark, put it down, picked the next one up, made the next mark, picked the next one up. And then by the time you come back to the first one, you know, you're ready to put the next colour on. But what I wanted to do is to show that person who asked about that one that we had down in the other room, the spray. I'm going to show that because that's interesting. So here again, I mean, I haven't really made a nice job of the black mark in between, but I think you can see how I've done it before. I mean, these making tea bowls like this or mugs, you know, if you're having difficulty throwing, you know, I mean, it takes a long time to be able to throw a pot, you know, so that you can do it without struggling. I mean, what happens initially is pots tell you what they want to do. Because of the centrifugal force of the wheel spinning, once you've centered it and had your first pull, then because the clay is spinning round, it naturally wants to go out. That's why most people, when they first start, make nice bowls, because, you know, they follow the centrifugal force. Whereas when you want to make a cylinder, you've actually got to control it by actually pushing in with the outside hand, but not forcing it. You know, you just go with it. I mean, watching good throwers, I mean, it's lovely to watch. It really is. I mean, Wally Keeler, for example, he was he still is a beautiful thrower, although now I think he extrudes most of what he does, which is, I think, a bit of a shame, really, but it's the dog, the dormouse. Right, so let me just, how are we doing? We're nearly there, but I mean, I can do things if we get round to questions in a minute. If you want me to show something, I can. But I just wanted to show that person how I do this. It's a bit messy. It's a bit messy, but it might work. It's the dog. Oh, is it? Where is he?
Outside, probably.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll try it on here. I'll try it. I'll try it on here. Yeah, I was going to say this is the neat stain. Okay. Okay, let me just try that. So now, yeah, it's not what I wanted, but that's how I do it. I don't do it very often. Get that off. Get that off. Anyway, that was how it was meant to be. But if you look, if it was drier, it wouldn't have done that. It's just because I put the background slip on and this on top. But in here, where you spray it, you get these lovely gradations, which are really nice. I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, I could get rid of all this easily. If you know, I mean, it's not ruined. I mean,
when you basically when you're doing that, it's a technique in watercolor that you'd say was wet on wet.
Yeah, although it's not normally wet on wet. It's normally wet on sort of a bit drier. Yeah, I know what you mean, Jenny. Yeah, wet on wet, but I mean, I just wanted to try that, but it didn't quite work out. Isaac's got a friend trying to contact him, but
it's not me.
Oh, isn't it?
I'm really sorry.
Oh, it's Jenny. Sorry, Isaac. Oh, really sorry.
God, I can't switch it off.
I was dreading that happening to me. I switched my phone off, but my landline's still on.
Yeah, apologies.
One more thing here. Well, I think I've shown different. Well, I'll just try this sponge. I'll put some green on so it shows up. Yeah. So again, you get another sponge, a different size, and if you're a pattern maker, I've got to come back to that. Let me move that around. Okay. This sponge isn't doing what I want it to, but I mean, again, what I wanted to happen here was to fill it all in. I want it to be all green. But as you can see here, the middle bit of the sponge didn't go all on. But I quite like that now. I think that's quite nice, you know. So I'd leave it. One of the other things you can do when you're pattern making in particular, and one of the things that I do, well, let me see, just to show you. I want to try and show you as many different things as I can. I mean, I've got these, what do they call these things that you push in? I think they call them. But anyway, you can use these to actually, again, just add some interest to whatever it is you're doing.
So how hard is that clay that you're working on, the plate?
Well, it's hard enough. It's hard enough for me to do that, really. I mean, it's still quite soft.
Right.
I mean, it's a good leather hard, put it that way.
Okay.
It's a good leather hard. Now, there is another thing that you can do. Oh, I should show this as well. I want to show this. That's the one I want. Whoops. Where did it go? Oh. Yeah, what you can do here is maybe on the blue areas, you could I'm not very good at this. Oh. Yeah. So you could, you know, I mean, I just play. And also, where's that other one? That one's a bit better. That one's, oh, it's that one, isn't it? What you can do here again is, if you wanted to emphasize the green, then you could do something like that. Yeah, there's all sorts of fun you can have, you know, with slip. Now the other thing I haven't used are my brushes, but let's try this one. That's dried off quite nicely now. That, see, you can see the tonal difference now.
Yeah,
interesting. But you know, if what the way I work now is, I tend to just make a few marks, really.
John, do you make a few marks and then leave it, contemplate the marks that you've made?
Yeah, no, I work on several. You know, I just randomly make marks to begin with, and then that one might be better. I'll need space. Let's get rid of this one. Let's just put that one there. That plate is separated from the back, so it's ready to turn, to be honest. What was I going to do? Oh, I know. Just make some marks. So here, I mean, I can, well, I don't know, I can just do anything really. I can start coming across like that, there. And then I'd go round. So let me just try on this area, something a bit different. Yeah, let's just try some red on there. So I might just do that. That'll be all right. The other thing you can do also, I should say, is you can mix the colours. So, for example, I mean, it's a bit like painting. Well, it is painting, really, but I mean, I'm not a great drawer, you know. I mean, I can just about get away with it. But if you can draw, I mean, these drawings on here, they're very naive and childish. I mean, but that's just how I do stuff, you know. And I think it really suits, particularly that one. These images on here, on the little prints, they were copied from the book. So, you know, I mean, I can copy, but over there on the wall, there's an elephant shape, Isaac, on the bottom there. So, I mean, that's kind of an abstract elephant, but it's still obviously an elephant, okay? And then on the shelf over here, you can just about see them. Behind Richard's wonderful chicken teapot are a couple of elephants there, which I'm quite fond of elephants. And then just show Richard's teapot. Richard's teapot, you know, the workings on that, look at it. I mean, you know, it's just, I couldn't make one of them to save my life. But he sprays a lot of his colours on. I'm not sure if he sprays the glaze or whether he dips them. I'm not quite sure about that. But anyway, coming back here, well, that's gone on quite quickly. So I can mixed colours, and I did just want to mix a little bit of that purple.
You've got some questions here.
Yeah, I've run into question time. Sorry, I'm going to stop. Okay.
Oh, no, carry on, John, and I'll ask them.
Okay.
One was, is it possible you could share a clear glaze recipe for earthenware? Thank you. Next one is from Juliet, and that's from Jane Bradford. Juliet's is that a special sort of brush that you're using?
One?
Yeah.
That's builder's brush. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that is a good question. These brushes are basic. Well, what's that? That's a pastry brush, and I think that's a builder's brush. These are all builder's brushes, but what you can see I do is I cut most of the hair off to get it to a nice fine for picking up slip.
Yeah.
So those brushes, those flat brushes, are all cut. And then these other brushes, I've inherited some of those. And then, you know, this sort of brush, Richard made these. These are some brushes I inherited from Richard. You know, that's a standard, I don't know, pastry brush or artist brush. But again, I've cut it.
Oh yeah, I think it's a bristle brush, isn't it?
Bristle brushes, you can cut them. You can cut them. I just wanted to show.
And Richard's saying there's no going back with slip. It's fundamental with its immediacy and charm. Discuss. I mean,
yeah, I mean, in slip trailing, especially those big dishes, once you commit, you know, I mean, you can't. If you make a mistake, you've made a mistake. You can't wipe it off. Whereas with these, I mean, a lot of the work the way I work now, I mean, quite often, you know, I work on something. I don't know. Let's use a plate. I mean, one of these will take a day easily to paint. So I'm working. I've got 5 that I've done in a batch. But I mean, I might not like that, you know. So in order to kind of like, I just paint over it. I don't try wiping it out. I just paint over it, make some more marks, and use some different colours. But I think what Richard was trying to say was, you know, when you're slip trailing, you know, that's a small slip trailer. I use bigger ones than that, but you know, when you are slip trailing, it's a very direct occupation. You know, I mean, it is very direct, and of course, when it's on the wheel or on a banding wheel, you know, you're working on the top of it, and you've got to be careful of all this. I mean, I think normally in the old day, with this one. What I've done on this one, this is quite different. I had brown slip, so this is on a brown background. So I poured brown slip inside and just poured it out over the rim and wiped it. Then I put it back on the wheel or the banding wheel, and I brushed white slip on the rim. Okay, so that rim will dry off before the middle. That's why I do this first. So I do all that work first, and then that's all wet, and then I've got to come on top and do this. So it's quite a kind of a acrobatic kind of way of slip trailing. I mean, anybody who slip trails will tell you it's not easy. But then, you know, when you've done a few, you get the next, you get the way to do it, and you can play, have fun. I mean, my big motto is have fun. You know, if you're not having fun making pots, you might as well not do it. I mean, I've kind of, from the 60s or whenever, you know, I've gone through all that repetition, domestic wear stage, and that is fine. To me, it improves your your throwing skills. It improves the way you handle clay and everything. But in the end, it gets a bit monotonous. I won't say it gets boring because it's not boring, but it does get monotonous. And so then, you know, by the mid-80s, from 71, I'd taken the old slipware about as far as I could take it, you know, and then I went to New Zealand. I was working alongside Don Wrights, and he was using colour. And I started to look at American ceramics magazines, and they were all very colourful. We were still in the Leach tradition of Celadons, Tenmokus, you know, browns and greens and stuff like that. And there was only, I think, 2 people actually doing slipware. And I think one of them was a guy called John Solly down in Kent. I think there was somebody else, but there wasn't many anyway. And I happened to see a book by, I think, Ronald Cooper called Slipware Dishes or something like that. I've got it in the other room. And it was all full of 17th century slipware dishes, harvest jugs, you know, the lot. And I thought, wow, this looks good. So I got some slip trailers and mixed up some slips and started to copy them until eventually I got the hang of it. And then I started to create my own patterns and, you know, put my own things on pots. But after a while, it got, you know, it got to be the same thing, you know. And I wasn't, you know, I wasn't pushing myself. You know, I'd got the hang of it and I could do it with my eyes closed, more or less. And then I moved to colour, and well, Don was using colour, and I mixed up some colours just like these, and I started to put them on with a sponge. I think I did some trailing as well. I mean, you can trail with coloured slip. I mean, I could trail some lines on there if I wanted to. And then I went to see this exhibition of Howard Hodgkin at the Whitechapel. And there was a big painting there, big round painting. And it just took my breath away. And I thought, geez, that would look great on a plate. And because I've made hundreds of plates. And so I went home, I bought a catalogue or a book of his work, yeah, catalogue. And I just started to look at the way he made marks, you know. I didn't copy his paintings, I just looked at the way he made marks. I think that was the book. You can see it's pretty well thumbed. But that sort of thing. I mean, that's upside down. Let's get the right way up. These are Howard Hodgkin. You know, I'm just fascinated by his colour and stuff like that. A lot of dots in them.
John, this has been amazing. Do you want to start taking questions from the floor, as it were?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can go on. We can go on. Yeah, by all means, ask some questions. Okay,
so I think everybody will agree with me. That's been an amazing demo and really informative. So maybe Paul could unmute everybody, and if you raise your hand, and hopefully there'll be a name underneath. So you don't all ask questions at once.
Yeah, I just wish I could have showed you more. You know, I mean, I worked out that we could have 45 minutes making and 45 minutes painting, but I mean, you know, this is the first one we've ever done. And, you know, when I go away and do a seminar or a lecture, you're gone for a day, you know, so you've got plenty of time. And of course, you know, this is unusual because all I can see is Isaac and there's 100 of you out there. You know, you're not confronted with anybody.
I know it's
weird. Go on, ask some questions.
Can we unmute, please? Jenny Hicks.
Jenny, can we, individuals need to unmute themselves. That's the easiest way.
Oh, right. Okay.
And turn on their video so we can see them. And then we need to find out who wants to ask a question. You can raise your hand.
Layla says, wow, thank you, but she has to go.
Okay, thank you for watching.
Jenny Hicks says, I have to leave, but thank you. It's been a really interesting demo.
Thank you.
And then another big thank you from Wilson.
Great. Thank you.
Well, we've still got a lot of people who haven't unmuted.
Can everybody unmute themselves if they would like to ask a question?
Just while they're doing that, keep unmuting. But I just wanted to show you some hand-built paper clay.
Oh wow!
And these I've never put in a shop or anything, but I really like them. And this, you can do what you like with paper clay. However, I made a load of work. Ian Gregory gave me this clay, and I made loads of pots like this, put them in the kiln, and then in the morning when I came down from biscuit frying, it was full of smoke. It was terrible. So whatever you do, if you get paper clay, make sure you fire it outside. Go on.
Just looking at who needs to unmute. There's still quite a lot of people.
Any questions from the floor? Thanks, John. It's been great seeing you. Love, Kate, and 3 kisses. Peter Bowen, thank you, John, for inspiring us with your simple approach to having fun.
Thank you.
Jenny, can I ask John when his exhibition is going to be? He's got a special
exhibition. Yeah, forgot about that. I've got an exhibition next month on I think it's the 28th or the 29th. It's a solo show with Simon Drew at the Simon Drew Gallery in Dartmouth. And it's called Slipware for the Roaring 20s, which I'm afraid we haven't really had. But I mean, that was the title I chose before the lockdown. It should have been on last year, I think, but it got cancelled.
It starts on the 29th of May.
Yeah.
And the private view is going on all weekend, so people can...
Yeah, so I'll be up there all weekend.
Penny Rich says, thank you very much. And she has to go now, lots of clapping hands. Heather says, thank you very much for a fascinating workshop. Mana Harvey says, oh, it keeps moving. Huge thanks, John. This has been so interesting and inspiring. Lots to think about. Big smiley face, Amanda. Christine, to everyone, brilliant session. Thank you. Marilyn, what glaze do you use?
Oh, it's a clear glaze, lead by silica. I haven't got the recipe, but if anybody's got any questions about glaze firings or anything like that, if they email me, I'll be very happy to send them all the details of recipes and everything else.
Sue, thank you. I can't wait to get working tomorrow. Alison, I will definitely go to your exhibition. I will say hi. Thank you so much, John. Oh, then Marilyn, thanks. Anna Hearn, enormous thanks, John. Wonderful demonstration, so inspiring, just lovely. All the best. From Hannah from the WPA. Annie, thank you so much for sharing your expertise so freely. I'm so inspired. These are great comments. Keep them coming through. Oh, Caro, from a fellow Londoner, thank you so much. It looks like you're having such fun, the most important thing. And like you say, you can do anything. Off to source some different sponges, brushes, stamps, and spray bottles. So exciting. Must try the black slip background too. Oh, sorry, I read that badly. Thank you so much. Keep having fun, Caro.
Lovely. Great.
And Samuel, cheers, John. I've been taking it all in. See you next session. Daisy enjoyed it very much too. Fantastic. And Marilyn, a great evening.
Thank you.
So, nobody going to actually ask the questions directly. I think it's been a great success, John. Oh,
well, I just wish I could have, you know, I mean, like I just said earlier, you know, I mean, there wasn't enough time for me to just show everything I do. Whereas I'm sure the other potters that Jenny's got lined up, you know, they might not be as versatile as I am. I don't know whether they are or they're not. But I've just tried to give people who zoomed in a flavour.
From iPad 6, don't know who that is. What is his mix in the small pots, please?
Oh, these are the neat colours. So when I buy the body stains, I just spray some water in there, and I've got a small. There it is. I've just got a small cocktail stick that I stole from Rumours years and years ago, and I just put the colour in. So they're the neat colours, and they go on the edge. But these are little jam pots. You can get jam in these.
Karen, thank you so much for a great session. And from Moira Ferguson, thank you from Moira Ferguson, Holy Loch Pottery, Argyll, Scotland. And you've got a lady from Texas as well. I didn't tell you that earlier.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
From Texas?
Yeah, from Texas. I'll find her.
Crikey.
Yeah. Whoa, I've got so many things that have been said that I can't. I think I might have missed a couple. Oh yeah, Anne Wilson from Texas, and that's thank you from the Scottish Potters for sharing with her.
Oh right. Oh, that's interesting. I did a gig for the Scottish Potters up at Pitlochry, and one in outside Inverness somewhere.
Fantastic. Paul Hilcock says, thank you, John, for an inspiring demonstration. All the best. Carol Radford, inspiring. Nice to see our Scottish Potters. And Chris Bell, great demo. Thanks so much. Really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Jenny, just Sally, want to say something?
Yes.
Put a hand up.
Thank you very much. I've very much enjoyed this. I've tried to take lots of notes and lots of drawings of pictures, okay, and see if I can not actually replicate, but get great inspiration from
Yeah, have some fun. Just play with it until you find your own way. I mean, a slip for me, you know, it's so versatile. I mean, the traditional slipware, I mean, is very versatile. You've got slip trailing, you've got feathering, you've got sgraffito. There's so many things you can do with slip, and you can do those same things with coloured slip as well. Not necessarily the old slipware colours, you know, that I used to use. So yeah, have fun.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
You've got lots more comments. Do you want me to carry on with them, John?
Yeah, I would like to before we we've got some more time, but before we go, I'd like people who are left to meet my cameraman.
Yeah, Isaac.
Yes.
Let's see Isaac. So.
Hello.
There he is.
Hey, well done.
Hey. Yes, thank you.
Isaac.
Well done, Isaac.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, carry on.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. This is moving quite quickly, so I can't always read them. Grindogan, I haven't said that, near Pitlochry, was the Scottish Potters annual meet, which is probably the thing that you demonstrated at. Heidi says, thanks, John. Still managed to learn something. Chat soon. Robert Damerel, must leave now. Thank you so very much indeed, John. Carl Radford, when is the book coming out? Thank you. Great demo.
There is a book somewhere, but we've got to get the website done first.
Caro says, well done, Isaac. Yay. Andrew says, thank you very much. Andrew Kimona. I'm really sorry about my pronunciation. I have to tell you that now. Georgina and Andrew Kimonas says, thank you very much indeed. So
right.
The response has been amazing.
I see, Jenny, we've got Roger Cochran here as well, who
lovely,
who hopefully will be doing a demonstration for us sometime in the near future.
He's next.
Is next.
Next month.
Roger there.
Hi there, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah, good to hear from
very
you.
good to see you. I survived. I hope you did. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Really good to speak to you. The only thing I can say about my work and after this is that what is it Monty Python said, and now for something completely different.
Well, that's a great thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Absolutely.
I mean, I'll sign up for it before anybody else, so I'll be watching and asking questions, don't worry.
Quite right. Thank you very much indeed. Really good.
You're welcome, Roger. Does anybody know how Arsenal are getting on?
They lost. 3 down.
Not over yet. Not over yet.
I didn't read it out, but there was something from a Spurs fan and I can't find it now. Oh, all right. Thank you, John. I'm so inspired to be more adventurous with different colours. A Spurs fan.
That's all right. I've got no problem with Spurs fans. I'm not one of those people that are antagonistic against other fans. I just like sport.
And Danka says, really enjoyed this. Thank you very much, Danka.
Jenny, could I say a personal thank you? I think because this is John's first sort of Zoom presentation, it's gone really well, and I'd like to thank all our friends and friends of friends that have turned up to make this a really enjoyable evening. And John, many thanks. It's been entertaining and informative.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John.
From my point of view, you know, I mean, I'd like to say a big thank you to Jenny for being comparess, and obviously Isaac for filming me for more than 2 hours, and to you, Paul, for setting it all up and making sure everything works. So I just say thank you.